Hello folks, I have a game here that Falkelgar and I played earlier today, and I wasn't able to record at the time. However, I am now able to record, so I'm going to just do the replay really quickly. A little bit of a different formula than my usual thing. However, it was a really good game, so I really think it's worth showcasing. So here on the right, I was taking up this side with 3rd Tankovi Corps. In the middle here, my buddy was playing 184th. That was a person named Mahulia. And on my left-hand side, there was a fella also playing 184th, I believe. I don't remember exactly what deck he was in, though. Named Remy Loon. On the opposing team, we had 20th Panzer, played by Lupus 305. In the middle, General Falkelgar was bringing up 5th Panzer, and on the right-hand side was Hitlerjugend, played by Deeker Actual. Now, during this game, Deeker actually managed to get quite a few really good moves off on my IS-2s, and the reason I think this game is so worth watching is because it really shows how you can handle IS-2s with decks that don't particularly have a way per se to deal with them. So we're going to be alternating speeds quite a bit, but I will highlight some very interesting bits of the game as soon as it starts here. Okay. With the game beginning, my entire plan was to bring this IS-2 up into this general area and control this open field while pushing a few light infantry off into this forest. This was directly opposed by the fact that he was rushing his entire army up this alley here, which is actually super smart for him. So the Panthers are going to have a really good engagement at close range, and because of all these trees, he's forcing me to bring my IS-2 over here to actually fight him. In fact, he ends up killing this IS-2 because I had to bring it over there to fight them in the long run. Over here in the middle, General Falkelgar pushes up, actually does a fairly good job at settling himself in this city. And on the left-hand side, we sort of struggle at the start to deal with the IS-2 and whatnot that's been sent up. That said, I'll be focusing mainly on this side over here. I was able to smoke off these two Ogno squads as they unloaded, and I just kind of gave this M42 to them as sort of a sacrificial thing. I bring in my Ognamachiki and my Flammenwaffe at 1 star because oftentimes I'm sending them to places that are going to have Flammenwaffe or Ogno, and I want to win that engagement whenever I get to it. And they do just that. They end up just taking out those dudes. They get me this flag for a few seconds. I think we end up holding it for a lot longer here for a bit, but we do lose this middle one here. Gonna speed it up now as nothing really interesting happens yet. There's a Panther A that's sitting on this road that really devastates most of Mahala's things from what I heard. These Ogno take a weird engagement against Pioneer Fear and they finally go down, and then Deeker begins to do the really smart thing and hide his Panthers away. So in an open 2,000 meter engagement, the IS-2 is going to be a god in this match. There's nothing that's going to stop it. The Panthers can't take it at 2 kilometers, and the Tigers certainly can't take it at 2 kilometers. And so it's sort of forced upon him to take these sort of really close-in engagements. So by hiding Panthers over here and Panthers over here, he's going to make me take a fight against one or the other of them while the other has side armor on the IS-2. I end up avoiding that for quite a bit, though. Amshas come up for a while to make really a huge mess out of these Pioneer and light infantry squads and whatnot, and the IS-2 does sort of back in and out of the smoke that he provided for me. Huge thing that's worth noting, don't smoke out enemy tanks unless they're stuck in a spot. Like if they're in a wide open field and you smoke them out, all you're doing is providing them with cover that they can then use against you. Over here in the middle, General Falkelgar is finally getting pushed out, although he does have this off map coming in that's going to devastate all the Strelki and the Tanko. On the left hand side, we did end up losing this hill, and it looks like at some point they did take down the Beach Stalin, so that's probably why we were so successful in that early phase. This IS-2 here is in a sort of weird engagement. He gets this Pack 40 up and he's going to begin sneaking it through this forest and such not, which ends up being his demise. Let me speed it up a little bit as, again, nothing interesting is happening. At some point I end up bringing in these F-22s. I bring them in Phase A just for their supplies. I honestly don't care about the F-22s at all. I just want the Studebaker with the supplies in it for the IS-2s. A huge downfall of the IS-2s, and of course this is sort of common knowledge, so it's not like I'm shining any light on a huge problem that I've just now discovered. But the IS-2 has very little in the way of AP ammunition, and you can see right there where the Pack 40 took an engagement at about 1,500 meters and pinged a shot right through the hole, killing the crew. But because of their low ammunition, a great strategy to use against IS-2s, especially when you're getting overwhelmed, is to target the supply trucks. At a certain point, the IS-2s are going to begin firing just heat shells, and while they are effective against most tanks, and most light tanks I should say, they're not going to really do the trick on killing things like panthers or tigers, and so you can usually overwhelm an IS-2 after about 8 shots have gone off, assuming 4 of those hit, given it's about 50% accurate. It's a reasonable goal. So he brings up this Panther G here, which is going to take a 1K engagement against my IS-2. I know it's there. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I think I was going to go fight those Panthers at range. Oh yeah, and bomb this Panther with my my cluster, or my HE bombs, to kind of stun it out and get it out of my way for a second. The IS-2 fires for quite a while. I'm alternating the shots between HE and AP for as long as I can before I run out of ammunition. So in my Tank OV Corps, I do a card in A of the Comrade, I do a card in B of the 1944, and a card in C of the 1944. And my Comrade, or excuse me, my 1944s are all at 1 star to bring it to a 3-star veterancy. I sort of think it cuts down on the spam and makes a more, I guess, sort of honorable engagement, but it also leads to the IS-2 just being a god. At some point, my friend from the middle brought up a 122 and used it to kill a few of those tigers so that I could get my IS-2 out to reload and whatnot. But he has these things in such a point where I can't push into this without dealing with this Panther, and I can't deal with that Panther because I just can't see it. From my point of view, there's nothing there. Let me swap it over to what I could see at the time. I couldn't see it, couldn't deal with it, and so I just kind of backed up and ignored it. Let me go back to neutral. So my plan as of right now was to push up onto this left side, because these open fields are very conducive to what I could do with these IS-2s. Friend brings up some Valentine 9s, and my Emches begin their push. Gavardia walking across the open field are more or less unstoppable, as they would identify targets that would shoot at them from far and let the IS-2s deal with them. And so this was all but guaranteed at this point. However, Deeker begins doing a really interesting strategy of bringing up Flak 41 88 millimeters, and putting them at multiple angles as to make my IS-2s fight on multiple angles. The trick to dealing with this is you have to take engagements one at a time. So if ever more than one thing are shooting at you, just back up, wait for a second, and then attack, move back in. Typically their things are arrayed in such a way that you can kill one thing at a time and then back up again. Some battery coming down on my M15s. They're kind of just sitting out in the open, so I deserved that. However, my plan at this point was to sort of clear out this field over here. Deeker's putting a lot of points into holding the city, and so I figured it was a really good point for me to fight for, as well as I just marched some stuff across this area here. Deeker throws up the surrender. Kelgar's right behind him as he's been pushed out of this middle area here. On the left-hand side, without the help of Butte-Stalin, he's in a lot of trouble against 184th. Or, excuse me, he must have been playing Bazugli. Tigers and panthers all over the place, perhaps from the AI, perhaps Kelgar was trying to help him at the time, but it's really too little too late as that SU-152 is up on the hill, and we have these 85s just bearing down on them. In the middle here, it's still fairly even. There's only 2 flags that have been taken over here. On the right-hand side, I've more or less caused him to completely collapse. However, Deeker put up a really good game and actually did some very interesting and inventive ways of dealing with my IS-2s. A huge criticism that I hear for this game, and a joke that goes on in my Discord channel, is don't you remember that red armor is invincible and also blue armor is invincible? Because a lot of the comments that you hear about this game is, well, I can't kill the King Tiger and I can't kill the IS-2. However, you very much can kill both of those machines. You just have to take engagements that are conducive to your army. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for another one.